another edition of BJB Today. Tim Kruger. It is Wednesday, and we're just kind of going to get caught up on some things we haven't talked about lately, including the women's team. We'll kind of give you a rundown of what's going on with volleyball this weekend, some big home matches, and then we're going to get into a little bit of basketball, men's basketball, as far as from a bracketology standpoint, which most of you know I've been doing bracketology for like 30 years. So we're going to talk a little bit about Bracketville, the side I'm on, and so forth, and where Creighton sits as some brackets are coming out, preseason brackets, and we'll talk a little bit about those. Want to thank you for joining us. Make sure and hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. We're growing this community, especially through our post-game shows. So if you haven't had a chance to see our 2 post games, make sure and go back and do that, especially the last one where we had Coach Huss on, and he gave a lot of great information on the game, the season as it's going forward, and so on and so forth. Infusion Brewing, sponsor here at Blue Jay Banter Today. We want to thank them for their sponsorship, and they have a great lineup of beers, including Vanilla Bean, German Stout, and I've talked a lot about the pickle beer, dill pickle beer, which is excellent thing to mix with your Bloody Mary mix on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning when you're getting ready to watch some football, and now when you're getting ready to watch some hoops, right? So they have their whole fall lineup out, including their ever-popular pumpkin beer. So check them all out. That's infusionbrewing.com. You can see the hours their tasting room's open. Go out there, have a flight, check out the different flavors, see what you like, buy some right there, take it home, and you'll be glad you did. So we want to thank Infusion for their wonderful sponsorship. Let's talk about the women's team. So they had 2 exhibition games. The second one against North Dakota State, won by 3 up in Sioux Falls. So that's a very, very good start for them. Yes, it's exhibition, but it's a good start. And they kick it off in earnest at a home game on Monday, the opening of college basketball season on Monday against South Dakota State. So they're always a tremendous team. So this is going to be a good test for Flan's young team. A real good test for them. And I think, we're going to see there'll be growing pains, no doubt. I mean, as we know, you just got the 3 seniors, 2 of which are the only returning players, and everybody else is freshman, sophomore, very young team. So it's going to be interesting as the season rolls along. They're picked in the middle of the pack in the Big East, but I think they're going to do better than that because I think the talent is there. It's just going to be bringing the team together. They'll follow up that Sioux Falls game with a game at Des Moines, taking on Drake a week from Sunday. So a little time off in between games. Volleyball, as we mentioned the other day, big weekend for them. They haven't been home in a while, and now they're home taking on DePaul on a Friday 11:30 match. So it's a kids' day match. It's Halloween, so they didn't want to do it at night when Halloween on. So a great idea, great marketing there by the Creighton Athletic Department. 11:30 match. Skip work, go watch the match against DePaul, and then the big one Saturday night at 7 against Marquette. Traditionally, it's Creighton and Marquette in the Big East, and Creighton really dominated Marquette in the first match. So we'll see what Marquette has to offer on this second match. Then I want to talk a little bit about what we have in store for you coming up here at Blue Jay Banner. And the first thing we'd like to talk about is RTI Threads, who is a sponsor of not only Blue Jay Banner Today, but also the Blue Jay Banner postgame show. So we want to thank them for their sponsorship. They have everything. They're a licensed Creighton provider. So they get all the Creighton logo gear, shirts, hats, T-shirts, sweatshirts, fleece, quarter zips, you name it, they have it. They've also got some other things like mini basketballs, things like that, and team jerseys, both men and women. So one of the things we're going to do with them, and we're going to get things finalized today, is in our post game. And so watch us if you're not following on Twitter. I don't know why not, but it's at Blue Jay Banner on X. So follow us there. We'll put some information up about what's going to happen. The first post game show, a regular season post game show, which will be Wednesday after the South Dakota State game. We do them live from Let It Fly Sports Bar in downtown Omaha. We're going to have giveaways, and we're kind of in the as I said, planning stage. We're going to get this finalized today, but what we're hoping to do is kind of have something given away during the live broadcast. So all the people that tune in live would have an opportunity to do that, and then also have another giveaway, because a lot of people, will go home from the game, they'll turn it on later, or they'll turn on the next morning. See a repeat of our show on YouTube. It's all stored right there. So you can go to our YouTube channel, Blue Jay Banner, and see everything we have. You can go back and see all these Blue Jay Today shows plus our postgame shows. So if you go back there, you can see the show we did the night before. So for instance, next Wednesday we'll do a show. Then Thursday morning you can pull it up and go on there, and we'll have a separate drawing of something for everyone included. So it'll be the live viewers, but it'll behoove you, if at all possible, to watch the live broadcast, because that's going to be when we'll have a really special drawings. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff with RTI Threads this year, and we're so thankful to Katie and everybody over there at RTI. So that's kind of one of the big things we've got in store for you on the immediate horizon. People have asked, we're going to have we plan on having another outside event, hopefully over at Infusion. We got to get all that worked out with them, but yes, we'll bring a player in. We've got a little different. We're still going to have the rotation of coaches this year, but a new kick is we're going to have 4 players: Jason Green, Josh Dix, Isaac Trout, and Jackson McAndrews are 4 players who will just rotate. So we'll get to know them a lot better than we will have just a brief 2-minute chat with them, once, maybe twice a season. And you'll get to kind of know, their roles. I think we've got a nice mix of different roles on the team. And so we'll be able to talk to those guys. Last show we had Jason on. He's tremendous. He really tells you what's on his mind. So that's very interesting. So check that out on our post game. If you haven't seen the last one, I highly recommend it. Coach Huss had some great comments on the roster building, how important this week is for the roster, and so forth. So check all that out. And tons of other things too. By the way, we still have a couple sponsorship slots open. If you want to either sponsor Blue Jay Banner Today, or both the Blue Jay Banner Today and Blue Jay Banner postgame shows, send us an email, bluejaybanner@gmail.com, or put it in the chat right below here as you're watching this show today, and we will get in contact with you and see if we can work out a deal. It's very affordable advertising, and it's a great way if we will share a lot of our analytics with you on the discussion, and you will see that you're going to reach a ton of people for a very low cost. So it's an excellent way, especially for some smaller businesses, to get their word out there of their business. So check it out. Send the email to bluejaybanner@gmail.com, or put it in the chat below here on the YouTube channel. Okay, now, as I promised, we're going to talk a little bit about bracketology. As you know, I've been doing it forever. Part of the Bracketville network. So it's bracketville.com. Go there. You can see my bracket each and every week. I'm working with Dave Ullman, who's the best in the business. He's won numerous awards for his bracketology predictions. And Dave's great to work with, and we got a lot of great things in store for you there. So go there. Make sure you subscribe to that as well, because then you'll get the updates on the brackets when they come out, the brackets and the seed lists. We plan to have a lot of podcasts to do with the bracketology this year at Bracketville, so that's going to be exciting as well. I want to show you, I kind of want to just take a look at where bracketology sits today. And I've got the first season bracket coming out. Now, look, I understand, and I'm not sure that the sharing feature is working here. So apologize for that. But at any rate, I'm just gonna share with you what's going on with the bracket, and um, we will get the sharing feature. I'm totally wrong. Here we go. All right, guys. Hope you can all see that. Pull it up here on the screen. So this is kind of a sneak preview, the bracket my bracket that'll come out tomorrow. I have Creighton at a 6 seed. They're the number 1 6 seed. And you're saying, well, if they're number 1, how come we're going to San Diego? Well, because a lot of the other sites were taken up. Duke is in Greenville, so they're taken up with North Carolina. Buffalo's pretty much locked in with Kansas. So those are the sites. We're a 6 seed, so we don't necessarily get a choice here. So because of the Big Ten having so many teams, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on bracketology, but I'll explain this to you because you may be wondering, well, why couldn't we go to Buffalo? So the Big Ten has so many teams here that we've got to split them up. In other words, we can't really technically put them over to be matched up with Illinois. You got Michigan State and Oregon over there, 6 seeds. They can't be over there, so they've got to all be on the left side, away from the other 2 Big Ten teams, UCLA and Illinois. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Creighton could go to Greenville too, but I mean, really, San Diego's probably better flights, cheaper flights. Who doesn't want to go to San Diego in March, right? And obviously they would take on, because of the 6 seed, a lot of times the 6 seeds take on those play-in games. In this play-in game, Creighton would take on the winner of Indiana, Oklahoma. I know. Now I'm going to get to another topic here. So I know you're going to say, oh, well, you just planned it that way because then Creighton would have to play either Darren DeVries, former assistant coach at Creighton, or Porter Moser, former player at Creighton. Hey, I'm telling you, it's just the way it worked out. The reason being, you want to avoid Indiana playing somebody in their conference that they've already played. And so you couldn't have them over in Buffalo because Oregon's there. You couldn't have them in the other region with Michigan State. You could possibly have them over in Greenville, but you do have to split up. You could have them both on Thursday, you could have one on Thursday, one on Friday, but you've got to kind of split it up. So it just worked out that way. It's just the way with the bracketing principles worked out that Creighton's going to take on Indiana, Oklahoma. And again, we're not going to get too deep in the weeds on this. This is a preseason bracket. This all gets thrown in the garbage in a couple of weeks. But, I don't think facing UCLA is the worst matchup in the world if we get by that first game. You got 2 teams that, they may not, Indiana, Oklahoma, a lot of brackets don't have them in. But I have Creighton 6. I have St. John's. I can scroll up here and show you where we have St. John's at. St. John's is a 4 seed. Go all the way up here. St. John's is a 4 seed. They're in Buffalo, along with Tennessee, Alabama, and BYU. The number 1s are Houston, Duke, Purdue, Florida. That's pretty solid. I think most people would have those 4s, number 1s. If we scroll down to the bottom of the bracket, the number 5s, or the number 2 seeds, Kentucky, Tech, UConn, and Michigan. Now, yeah, it would be great if we could get in that St. Louis pod somehow. Unfortunately, you would think Kansas would be a natural to go in that St. Louis pod, and then Creighton could jump in there. The problem is that you've got teams that are very close to St. Louis as 1 and 2, Purdue 1, Kentucky 2. They're going to gobble up that St. Louis pod pretty quickly. So the only other option is Buffalo, and that's where Kansas is going. So again, long way to go, but I think it is the most thing I get out of these early ones is, A, gives you a general idea in the preseason where your team falls. B, excuse me, kind of gets you familiar with the sites, the 8 sites. So we have St. Louis, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia, and Buffalo, San Diego and Greenville, Portland and Tampa. They're the 8 sites. So there's not, other than St. Louis, there's nothing really that close. Oklahoma City's not that far away, probably just a little bit further than St. Louis. So that's not bad. Again, if you see here, Houston's going to, gobble up Oklahoma City. So Purdue's going to take St. Louis. So there's 2 off the board right off the get-go. Everything else kind of falls into play. Duke is going to love going to Greenville. Florida's going to love going to Tampa. So, again, it matter where the Jays fall as well. Your regional sites too, Chicago's really nice for the Midwest. South Houston, West San Jose, and then the East is Washington, D.C. So kind of some unusual regionals. We haven't had regionals in San Jose and Washington lately. I think San Jose maybe the past, but Washington, D.C., we haven't had one there forever. So kind of some new sites there. And I kind of like it that we move it around. I kind of get tired of the same old, same old. But, some years, as far as sites go, because I know people are interested in this, okay, where could I go and watch the Jays and the NCAA in the first weekend? A lot of years, we've had Des Moines, we've had Kansas City, Denver's a short Southwest flight, This one's not bad. Milwaukee's been one. This one's not bad. St. Louis isn't bad. I mean, we'd love to go to St. Louis. So, but it'll all depend on, again, say Kentucky dropped to a 3 seed and you had, let's see, say UCLA is a 2. Well, then UCLA is going to have a West Coast site. And if, again, we're projecting way ahead if Creighton stays at a 6, then they would have some options because then either Kansas or Kentucky would be a 3 seed and they would be St. Louis. And that would be, obviously if Creighton was the number 1 6, they would get their choice and they would go to St. Louis. So that'd be awesome. Could fill up the arena like we did back in the Valley days. So anyway, that's a little bracketology. I want to mention one other one to kind of give you an idea of Creighton's standing. Joe Lunardi came out with one, I think, yesterday, and Creighton was a 7 seed, 1 notch below where I have them, and they'd be playing Mississippi State. Nice matchup there. Winner of that one would take on Michigan. So, and those games would be played in Buffalo too. So, and we'd be in Houston regional. So, all things considered, not bad. Buffalo though is not. Yeah, I remember there was a regional there not too long ago, and it was kind of a pain to get into. Flights weren't all that cheap. It's kind of far to drive. It's just it's a yuck site. But anyway, mentioned Bracketville again, so go there to get all of my brackets and everything this year. Also, one other thing I want to mention, it's kind of still up in the air, but I may be doing some coverage of Murray State this year. Again, that hasn't been finalized either, but if we are, I'll let you know, because I know a lot of you are interested in the Murray State team, obviously with Ryan Miller, the head coach this year, but, there's a lot of ties to Creighton with that, right? You got Ryan Miller as a head coach. You got him in the Valley, our former conference, so we're a little bit familiar with some of the teams, and even, Ben Jacobson's still around as coaches. And then players, obviously. Fred King, off to a great start with them. Mason Miller, Ben Schultzberg, who was here for a cup of coffee. Brock Weiss, who was on the team, was here. You've got Jahans Maniga as a on the staff there as director of player personnel. So a lot of ties to Creighton, so it'll be interesting. I will be up in Sioux Falls. They are part. Murray State is part of the opening day festivities, and Field of 68 has done this, I think, now for second or third year, where they've had games around the country. And this year they're going to have two sites. They're going to have one in North Carolina and one here in Sioux Falls, where there's 3 games apiece. And Murray State is part of that event in Sioux Falls. Obviously, Ryan's ties with South Dakota, just grew up the road. He's got family living in Sioux Falls. So it's great. He jumped at that opportunity. I know Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster, who run Field of 68, who kind of put this tournament together. I saw on a podcast where they said, Ryan was the most cooperative guy they've ever worked with. He was tremendously cooperative about having the event, getting involved in the event, anything he could do, and so on and so forth. So interesting tie also here to Omaha, because they will be taking on the Omaha Mavericks in that game. Highly touted team for this season as well. They made the NCAA tournament last year. So it should be a great game. And I think that tips off at 1 o'clock, I want to say. But anyway, I'll be there live, so follow me on Twitter, at TK Brackets. I'll tweet out a bunch of stuff about the game and also post it on the Blue Jay Banner Twitter account as well. It should be a fun afternoon of basketball. I think South Dakota State plays McNeese, I believe, in the final game of the day. They've got 3 games there anyway. So just a little heads up. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the week if we can. So, all right, that's a little update on the bracketology where Creighton sits heading into the season. We're efforting some guests for the rest of the week. It's looking like right now we haven't taken, this will be like the last time we'll be able to take a show off maybe. So we're probably going to take Friday off. So we're looking for a show tomorrow. I'm waiting to see if I'm trying to effort a couple of big time guests that we could have on the show. So I'm hoping we can get that done. If we do, we'll have that tomorrow. Otherwise, we may have an edition of we haven't had for a while, Random J, and I've got one in the hopper, and it's going to be great. So thanks for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Watch our other product on there, especially our last post game, and we'll see you tomorrow.